Don't go anywhere, because this automation is going to go viral, and it's only a matter of time before Instagram tries to put a stop to it. All my clients all got this all bought out in one day. This is really a crazy and truly valuable automation. What does it do? It scrapes your competitors' Instagram posts and reels. Then it creates a 1 week worth of social media content suggestion for you. I'll show you how it works. Show you how it scrapes through a competitor's Instagram and then emails you or your client a 7-day, a week worth of content suggestion based on what's gone viral for them. All happens on autopilot. You just click the button and it runs once a week and emails you through the list. Have a look at this. Not going to go for much longer. And at the end of the video, I'll show you how you can quickly grab this before this gets put a stop to it. I'm going to quickly show you how this automation works and then tell you how you can get it. This is really valuable and all my clients love this idea, and I sold it all out to all of them, wanted it. I don't know how much longer Instagram is going to allow this, so really make use of it now and use it either for yourself or to sell out to a client. And this is what it looks like. So it's a make automation, and I'll quickly go through the steps and you'll be able to get the blueprint exactly like this at the end. So all it does is we use a third-hand application called Appify. And Appify has got a special scraper for Instagram posts. So it's an Instagram post scraper that scrapes up all available data from that user. So what it looks like is we come into the connection here. You have to apply for access to it, and then you get an API key, and it integrates with make.com with API. And once you're in there, you select your actor, and there's lots of different actors, but that's pretty much the scraper in layman's terms. So I'm using the Appify Instagram scraper. And what I'm telling it is to scrape posts that's newer than last month. I'm setting the limit to each to 10. So each user of my competitors or your client's competitors, they're only going to scrape 10 per account. So for in this example, not competitors, I've just added 3 names in here. So what does it mean? It just means it's going to scrape this user and it's going to scrape 10 of the posts from this month. Then it's going to scrape this user, it's going to scrape 10 posts. That's all in this month. Okay? So in total, I'm going to get 30 posts, and it's all going to contain the captions, and it's going to contain the links or the instructions, and it's going to contain the hashtags. So the idea is you have a bunch of competitors, or your client has a couple of competitors, and it can scrape all their recent posts, come up with the captions and the hashtags, and then it's going to create from those posts, it's going to read over it, analyze it, and then give you 7 days, a week worth of content ideas for you to create. And this one I've specifically set up for Reels. And I'll show you how to change this as well. So you can change the date if you need to. And also remember, Make has a built-in date function in here. So you can timestamp the date in there if you need a specific date. If you want to go every month. And just once added every month in there, it can just do it automatically with the make function here. 10 limits, so it's going to be 10, 10, 10, so 30 posts in total. I wouldn't go more than that, so keep in mind it also takes a bit of time. This is where it comes from. So to scrape 10 posts takes about 30 seconds, okay? And I'll show you why that's important now. So in this example, 30 seconds. So what it does, it's going to come into a sleep function. And I've gone 30 plus 30 plus 30 is 90, and I've added 5 seconds in there. So when you run the automation, it actually runs the task, then it sits and waits and sleeps because it activates. So it goes to Appify, it activates the scraping, and that's scraping in the background. And while it's scraping, we're just going to wait the automation, so we don't have to exit out of the automation. So after 95 seconds. So you need to time that well, how many you put in. I'm gonna just create a blank Google document. So you'll see when it comes in. So remember the blank document. I'm just gonna create a blank document on my shared drive, and all I do is I create it from the specific ID. So I've just come into this first unit, and I just create an ID. So that just creates a unique blank document, and I'll show you why that's important. The reason is we're going to scrape all those posts, get all that data, and throw the raw data into a Google document. Okay, we'll get to it as we go along. So when it's going to activate the scrape in the background, it's going to wait a couple of minutes. Then it's going to create a blank document for us. Once it has the blank document, we're going to call another Apify function, and it's to get the data. So it creates the link, and it comes back to the database default, which I've put in here. So it's from the first one. And here the database default, this is the important part. So every time you scrape, the whole scrape scenario is going to have an ID. So now we're going to call the data from that ID. So it's scraped it, it's got name, now it's going to call that ID, and it's going to put it all into a format. So just remember this as well. So I've selected 3 people times 10, so it's 30 in total. Remember your limits if you need to change your limits, if you have more or not. I wouldn't go with more, but if you have more competitors in there, you just got to remember the limit in here. So what this does is it just gets all the data, and it creates 30 bundles. Right? So in here is all the bundles. And each bundle contains the actual URL for the specific post. Then it contains the caption. That's what I'm going to need, and that's what I'm going to create your own viral content. So we're going to take all the captions, including all the hashtags. We're going to put it together in one document, and then we're going to feed it to ChatGPT and create a prompt to analyze this and create our own 7 days worth of content. So all this does is it gets the data, it puts it in the array. The array extracts all the captions and then creates one solid set. So it's a bit more advanced. I'm not sure if I've completely done this right and if there's an easier way of it. Just imagine this, you have 30 bundles, and every bundle there are 30 captions, and every caption has hashtags, and we just need to put all that together so it creates it all into one singular text format, because we want to use it for GPT. Now you can put it in the Excel format, but you don't need to. I just like the Google Sheets because it's one document that you just can keep feeding to GPT. So once it comes here, it's going to create the whole string. So it creates a caption and end of caption, and it has a full string in here. And then it takes all that data and it puts it into the document that we just created for here. So it's literally updating the data with all your text. And I'll show you the example of what it looked like. So just in here, that's going to be your document name. So all I go to my Google Docs, and I'll bring this up. Give me a second. So here we are. This is what the document looks like. And all of this, it's a caption, and it has all the details below. And it goes in caption, and then the next one. And it has that just all the way down. All right, so it's got the captions. It's got all the bits to it. It's got steps to it. So yeah, so we have all your captions together. So this is the next part of it. So we scrape the background, then we create a blank document while it's scraping, then we call the data, we put all the data together in one string, we put the data into a document, then we're going to call this document, so it's a load the document, then we're going to go into GPT, and we're going to create a prompt, an example prompt. So what I want to do, so all my clients like this, they like an email, so they get an email reminder, write it in a document. So what it does is I'm telling GPT, analyze all this data, and then create a unique 7-day content system, put it into HTML format, so it looks pretty for your client, and email it to them. So there's a big try and prompt in here and give it to you, but it just says, be a viral reel creator, and I want you to analyze some data I'm going to give you. Once you do that, create 7 days of content, suggestions, capitalize the words, put it in HTML format, make sure it's unique, and use it from the data that we feed to the document. So that's a system message. And then I just come into the assistant. So this is just a sample that you put in that I want it to look like, just how it looks like, HTML. And also the important part is I told it to make it reel specific. So I don't want to create just normal post. I wanted to come up with reel suggestions. So it's reels. What are reels? 1 minute videos. So we tell it what we want it to do. We tell it what example it should look like. And then we paste all the data that we have just read from this document into it. Does that make sense? We have the GPT read the data that we just pushed in. Once it does that, I'm going to tell it to put the output into another blank document. So just it takes your GPT output and it just adds it to one document. That's just for a bit of record keeping, and I'll show you what that one looks like. Just come into content ideas. So this is what it looks like. So it's written in HTML. So if you open it in Google Docs or in Word, just make sure you view it as HTML, if it makes sense. But I'll show you what it looks like when it gets emailed. That's the part that most clients want. So I've come in here and I've created a Zoho mail account, which is like a free email account. You can do Gmail, but Gmail has been getting real sticky with make.com. So I've been using Zoho Mail, just easier to set up. But I got the account, and all I do is I email a copy to myself and I put the GPT response in there. Right? So this is what it looks like as an email. So you'll get an email response, and this is what it looks like. So once a week, you or your client will get an email like this saying your weekly content suggestion, and it says on Monday, create a reel, do this in the reel, use this as a caption. On Tuesday, this is your reel suggestion, make a reel about this. This is the caption. And then same on Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So yeah, so all it does is it just sends an email like this, and it just gives you or your client, number one, accountability to do something for the week to help them grow. Number two, gives them a bit of insight into what your competitors are doing. For example, all this is really about AI. So a lot of these posts is things about AI, but there's general things as well about LinkedIn. And yeah, that's pretty much it as far as it goes. It's a very basic, but it's got a lot of value to a client. And you can chop and change these. These can go into Excel sheets. You don't have to email it. You can just keep it as one document. But the possibility is endless. The main part is there's an actual function to scrape the post of a bunch of your competitors from a certain date range for a number of times. I hope that all makes sense. We're scraping it. We're waiting till the scraping is done. We're extracting the scraping data. We're changing the data a little bit so it goes into one string. We're adding it to a document. We then take chatgpt. We give it a system prompt, and we give it an example. It analyzes that data and then creates 7 days of content, and it emails it in HTML format, which is what my clients, most of them, really like. So if you like this idea and you like this automation, it's just something you can set up once a week, and it just runs on automation by itself, and every Sunday afternoon sends an email out saying this is what you should do in the next week. And it at least, at number one, keeps your clients accountable, and it just creates an ideas specifically that is competitor related. Hope this helps. Hopes it makes sense to everyone. If you want the blueprint, I've put it in down the bottom. If you have any other suggestions or ideas, then This has taken me a little bit to try and figure out. If you have a different way of doing it, please share and let me know. Cool. Thanks. I hope everyone has learned something today.